Good afternoon and welcome to Science Fiction Retirement Library, and welcome to my new Marine Conservation Society t-shirt that my wife hates. I think because of the colour makes me even paler, even darker eyed. Anyway, this should be a quick one. I'm trying to do this quickly because my friend over at the Accidental Bookseller, Paul, has tagged me in his 8 Memories book tag, and I really wanted to do something in response to Paul and as a thank you as well. So I've quickly got some books together. I basically went through my various bookshelves and just saw what caught my eye and triggered a memory. I did it kind of off the cuff, which I think was Paul's idea. And I've got 8 memories to share with you quickly. I've kind of put that 2 of them remind me of a place more than anything, 2 remind me of a time more than anything, and like usual, 4 of them remind me of people more than anything. So off the cuff, let's see how it goes. The first one is this, which I'm not sure that many people know about. I hope they do, but it's Dark Star by Oliver Langmead. And the reason this invokes a memory is my little sister and I used to do the Booker Longlist. Basically what we used to do is we used to put all of the books on a spreadsheet, a shared spreadsheet, and we would go through and mark how much we would want to read them out of 10, and then the highest rated 3, 5, whatever we would buy and read together. We haven't done it for a while, and to be honest, it was quite hit and miss, I have to say. But one thing that was hit is this, and so whenever I see this, I think kind of 2 things. I think of my sister and the bookish bond that we have, which is obviously very important to me. And also the other thing is, this is a very strange book. It really reminds me, whenever I think about it, it reminds me of the feeling of Blade Runner, the movie. It's dark, it's raining, it's at the bottom of the streets, but the skyscrapers are up to the sky, but you can't see anything, and it's smoggy. And I'll just read a bit of the back and then I'll tell you about the form. So, welcome to Vox, a city of perpetual night existing under a star that burns in darkness. Light-starved citizens shoot up on Prometheus, while the wealthy live in the radiance provided by 3 hearts that beat light into the city, Aquila, Corvus, Cancer. When Cancer is stolen, it falls to hero cop Virgil York to investigate. So it's like a police procedural in this kind of dark, intense other world, but even better is it's a long-form poem. And it blew me away. I can't remember what I put. I must have put 5 stars or 4.5 stars. And I just thought, that is rare, that is special. And whenever I see it, I remember on my bookshelf, I remember how special it is, but I remember how I acquired it. So this is also reminding me of people, which is my sister. Please check this out if you haven't already. It's a very, it's slightly off kilter. It's just something slightly different. I'm a big fan of poetry anyway, but when I saw something like this, dark, gritty, police procedural, science fiction long-form poem, fantastic. Okay, number 2. This reminds me of place. It's actually 2 books, and I've talked about this before. I very rarely go on a holiday and relax, and what I mean by that is I can work from anywhere, and I usually do work from anywhere. But my wife kind of forced me to go on a holiday to Corfu. So we've gone to the Greek islands before. We went to Corfu, and I'll hopefully put a few pictures up. We stayed in a tiny little cottage that had its own pool and was kind of the middle of nowhere, really. You could see other places around, but I actually got some reading done, and there were 2 books that I really wanted to read. So this was quite recent. This was a few years ago. And I think I've mentioned them before, but these are the 2 books that I had saved for a long, long time to read when I had the chance to fully digest them. So one science fiction, Hyperion, that everyone knows about, and it took me until 4 years ago to read it. And the other one, I'm a massive Steinbeck fan, and I always left this one until I could properly digest it because of the impact I hear it can have. Mainly on when you're young 20s, but it had it here. So whenever I see these on the bookshelf, and they're pretty close on the current bookshelf, I've got a Steinbeck list and then I've got sci-fi masterworks above it. So it's kind of seen like this. I always think of that holiday, and it's a really lovely memory, mainly because I actually did relax. Both books became my favourites, obviously because of how good they are, but also because of the experience of reading in this place and being really kind of happy with myself that I found the time to do it. You know, I think a lot of us are very self-critical in terms of trying to be perfect teammates or, you know, workers or suppliers or whatever you want to call it, right? That you forget yourself sometimes. And these two books evoke memories of this beautiful holiday with my beautiful wife, and also being kind to myself, let's say. So that's number 2. Here's another 2 book. Oh no, I'm going to do 1 book, but it could be 2. And I can't remember where I picked this up. So this isn't place. This reminds me of a time. And it's Goodbye Mr. Chips by James Hilton. And I've got a few versions of this. This one I can't remember where I picked up, as I've just said. To Doreen with best wishes from someone, March 1947. So it's not great condition, but I had to get it. And the reason I love this so much, and I've watched the film as well, is it evokes memories of my school. Now, I didn't go to school that long ago. I'm not that old. But my school just had a very, very long anniversary. It's a traditional school. It's an all-boys school. I even went to school on Saturdays, believe it or not. Had to wear a suit for the first time in my life. I came from kind of nothing, and it was a grammar school, so I then mixed with very successful people, let's say. But I have very fond memories overall. The beginning was horrific, but very fond memories overall. And whenever I think of this, and I've read it a couple of times and watched the film, I think of school and I think of the time I spent in my secondary school, high school, and also the people. My best friends are from there. But it's more about the kind of gothic, Harry Potter-esque cathedral type school, and the formality that came with this, the way, and also the poignancy at the end. I can't go into the details of the poignancy because it's very personal, but there's poignancy here, and I'm a big fan of kind of coaching and scaffolding people and things like that, and there's a bit of that in here in terms of he thinks of his students as his own. And he genuinely cares and he genuinely loves, and which I think is missing from a lot of areas of the world, especially the business world or vocational world, right? Is you can't talk about emotions like love and things like that, which I think are very important. But yeah, so that reminds me of a time, high school, and it's a great story. I love, obviously, stories about school, again, as does my sister. And I think I mentioned this on the other one as well. This is the other one that could have been there as well. The Corn is Green, and the Browning version, the play. So that's number 3, I think. Now, this one, there's a lot that kind of, the Corfu one, Hyperion East of Eden, was spent with my wife. This one's even more linked to my wife because it was actually read on our honeymoon. Now, this is a giant of a book. But I thought, if you can't read on your honeymoon, i.e. the time where you have to relax, right? And I was very, very lucky. My wife and I didn't have much money, but we scrimped and saved and basically went to the Maldives for a couple of weeks, which I haven't been back since, but it was unbelievable. And I was a diver. I still am, but I haven't done for a while. So I dived with the manta rays, etc. But I read this book. So whenever and I'm going to try and put a picture up of this book in the Maldives, because I've got a few pictures. I found a picture of it. So this is awesome. It's a monster, but it has got an incredible feel to it. Science fiction, monkish feel. And I don't remember a lot about it because it was, 13 years ago or so. But I remember absolutely loving it. And I remember towards the end how it grew and how it made you feel was something different to what I felt. So it was written in a way where you felt uncomfortable, but you also felt intrigued and excited and inspired and things like that. It reminded me a little bit of Jerusalem by Alan Moore, where you'd go up, there was another world in Northampton where you go up into the corners of the room, and through the corners of the room there's another dimension, right? And things like that. It's very similar. There's kind of a mythical feel to this science fiction. And one day I would love to read this again, because it did have an impact on me and I don't remember it very well. But an emotion and a memory that comes from this is my honeymoon with my wife in the Maldives a long time ago, when things were maybe simpler, I don't know, but great book. Okay, so that's remind me of a place, the Maldives, but also people, my wife. Yeah, this one is again reminder of a person, and it is again my little sister, but it's not the Booker Prize. My little sister and I, many years ago, maybe we started more than 20 years ago, I don't know, but we used to do book tours where basically we would go to cities in the UK, and we would challenge each other to buy certain books. I think I mentioned it before. So you have to buy one red book, one non-fiction, one book with a mammal on the front, one book that's from an author that you've never read, you know, one graphic novel, whatever it is. And we challenged each other, and then we went for a pizza and went home. On the early book tours, we found basically our favourite bookshop, which is Mr. B's Emporium of Reading Delights in Bath. And I bought my sister a bibliotherapy session, which basically you sit down with an absolute book expert, you tell them what you like, and then they go into the shop and come back and recommend books to you, and you buy them as part of this package. And there's also like a monthly book haul book delivery, where they'd give you a surprise book every month. They introduced us to The Cone Gatherers by Robin Jenkins. And it was sold to us as the Scottish Steinbeck. So I did a bibliotherapy session as well, so they knew that both of us like Steinbeck, and they introduced us to this. So whenever I see this on my shelf, and it is really good, and you can see the Steinbeckian links, maybe of Mice and Men, etc. It's a lovely little book. This actually isn't the copy that I got from Mr. B's, which is really upsetting, because I lent it to someone and they've never given it back. And I had to purchase this, and it was the closest I can get, and look at it, it's like a school book. But yeah, always think of my sister, my little sister, when I see this book on the bookshelf, and evokes memories also of Bath and the early bookish days out that we have, the book challenges. And we need to do another one. We've done quite a few cities, but we haven't done one for a while. So yeah, The Cone Gatherers, really recommended. And I'll try to put a picture maybe of me in Mr. B's Emporium of Reading Delights, because I actually at one point curated a shelf on there. So they chose different people, or I might have won something, I can't remember. So I chose like 5-6 books, which became, you know, kind of I don't know, patron recommendations, which was really exciting for me at the time. So there we go, person and place. And another, this is really place. So sorry that not all of these for sure are science fiction, right? Because I read more widely, but this, now I think I've got a picture again of me reading this. Now, my wife and I, a few years ago, went to Canada. I've been to Canada a few times, but I travelled a lot when I was younger, and I've kind of been taking my wife to places that I think she'd like. And so we kind of did a Rockies and Vancouver Island trip. And the place we loved is Tofino. And anyone that's been to Tofino will praise the power it has on you. Of someone said to me once, it's like ancient power of nature that you can feel in your soul, kind of thing, right? You're walking along a beach, and it's like ancient forest fallen onto the beach, and it feels stormy, but it's also warm. And then literally you go out on a boat and you see a subspecies of coastal bear eating on the coast. You see whales, porpoises, rare like Steller sea lions, otters, birds puffing, whatever it is. It's like Eden, how I would imagine Eden. And anyway, we had a lovely trip there, Tofino, Vancouver Island, and this was one of the books I took. And I've got quite a lot of these modern classics, and this one I was really interested in. I don't read a lot of kind of war stuff, but this is World War One kind of autobiography, but told from the view of a German soldier, which is different to the kind of stuff that we obviously learn when we're kids. A savage and astonishing memoir, Ernst Junger. So I remember really enjoying this. I remember sitting on a balcony, like on a wooden platform, reading this with a beer, and some of the views from Tofino are just great. So this evokes great memories of place. You can see a lot of them are holiday based, but also again my wife, who I took to Canada, and we had a special time. So now, before I get to the last one, which could upset me a bit, I have to say, I'll try not to. This book is the one that makes me feel most about my wife. So the other ones were kind of place, and my wife was obviously there with me traveling, but this is a book that my wife bought me. And the reason it's on the list is it kind of proved to me that my wife knew me and knew how serious I was about books. So this is The Old Curiosity Shop by Dickens. I think, and there's a card with a thank you from my wife. I won't show you that. And I think this was from Lewis, which is a kind of famous old book town. And it's from 1895. And it's in really good condition. And we used to read at Christmas time Great Expectations to each other, for example. Because my wife used to love that, and she's like a jazz singer. She's got a very good speaking voice, and I like to talk, as you know. So we would narrate to each other, and you got a real feel for Dickens doing it that way. And I've never read The Old Curiosity Shop, but I walk past it when I go to our bedroom. Got a small bookcase over there, and I always think of my wife, and I kind of think, well, she must love me, and because she understands my bookish love. And even though this hasn't got a cover and it's a bit tatty in places, what an amazing gift to give anyone, especially me. So thank you to my wife. And then the last one is something a little bit different, and I don't know how much I'm going to say about it because I might get upset, but this is Raymond Briggs' Ethel and Ernest. And those that don't know this will definitely know The Snowman. And this was something that I came across, I think, a couple of years ago, but I think it came on TV a couple of Christmases back, but I was already aware of it. But my dad was ill with a terminal illness, and he was basically bedridden. And we bought my dad a copy of this. And the reason we bought my dad a copy of it was it's a lovely, lovely traditional tale, beautifully drawn, but a very English working class Victorian love story, basically companionship story, and there's a whole lot in here, and my dad loved it when he read it when he was ill, and it was very close to he was passing. And I think that it reminds me of my mum and dad, to be honest. It was like, the stiff upper lip, get on with things, you work your ass off and you get by, and you might not have much, which was my mum and dad's kind of life. And it is, as it says on the back here, deeply moving. And anyone that thinks that you can't be moved by comics or sequential art should check this out. It's very affecting, very memorable. And if you don't fancy reading this, then please watch the animation, because it's also equally powerful and beautiful. So this will always, again, it's on the same bookshelf as this one. It will always remind me of my dad. Many, many things do. He's up there in every video I make. And I don't mean Bob. But Bob also reminds me of my dad, to be honest. But yeah, the final one, I wanted to say this because every time I walk past it, it evokes memories, good and also painful. But anyway, massive thank you to Paul at The Accidental Bookseller. Great idea for a tag. It changed up what I normally do, and I wanted to do something to continue it and say thank you. I do not expect anyone to do anything on here, and I probably won't nominate anyone, but please feel free. Definitely do more of this, because it brings a little bit of emotion to why we read books, and also it's a great idea from Paul, and we should all support Paul. So thanks guys, please like, subscribe, share, and more science fiction coming your way. This had some sci-fi but also some non-sci-fi, so cheers.